Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my very first crafting video, a spooky haunted house. Here are some things you might need for this project. A wooden house. I got this one at the Dollar Tree. Some paint, a paintbrush, a glass for water, not for yourself, for your brush, some various Halloween accoutrements, and a pair of scissors. Of course, you always end up needing those when you're crafting. Some black cardstock, and I am using a bat punch from Stampin' Up. I don't even know if you can still get that anymore, but that is what we're using today. My paper plate will be my painting palette, and we will start by painting our whole house black. Now, this project will take you, I would say, a little less than an hour, but you want to build in some time to let your house dry. I am an impatient crafter, and so I kept working even though my paint wasn't fully dry. This is a mistake. You should take a break to refill your drink, brew a cuppa, fold a load of laundry, answer a couple emails, something, and then come back to your house once you've painted it. And in case you don't know me, my name is Mrs. H. I love crafting, and this video is a thank you to the 3,000 people following me on Twitter. It is still shocking and amazing that so many of you would find anything I have to say worth reading. So thank you very much. This one is just for you. And I may never make another video again, but here we are. I hope you love this project. So let me tell you a couple things. If you're going to make this yourself, you don't have to have this exact haunted house. I got this one from the Dollar Tree, but if you have a scrap piece of wood, you could do this out of paper. You could even come up with a way to do this on canvas. You could use any wood house that you have. Sometimes I can find them in the like the special sale section at the front of Target where you can find some things. So dig around. You might even have something you could repaint as well. So don't feel like if you don't have this exact thing that you can't do this project, because I want you to just take this project and use it as inspiration for your own creating. Okay, so yeah, just watch this, enjoy it, and then say to yourself, I can make something cool like that, and go make something fabulous. I'm going to paint only the front side and the base of this house, and then a little bit behind the door, but you'll see later in this project that that is really unnecessary because you don't end up seeing it. Here's the thing. Some people, when you watch their YouTube videos, they had a plan the whole time for how this project was going to go, right? And I didn't. I had a loose idea in my mind, and you're going to watch it come together in real time. So the one thing I will tell you is that it's okay to change your project partway through, or to pivot if something isn't working out, or if you come up with a great idea in the middle and you want to incorporate it. All of those things happen during my project. I hope that it gives you courage to do the same if something isn't going exactly right with yours. My final project did get a stamp of approval from my daughter, so I know that I did a good job finishing it and being creative. Okay, I'm back, and I grabbed a couple more things. I grabbed some spider webbing and some white cardstock and some white paint pens and a jar of googly eyes. I just kind of grabbed all these other things I was thinking about. Some extra paint I might need. So white paint, I'll try to put all of the things you need in the description. So if you want to make this project, you have a jumping off place, a place to start from. Okay, we've got all these windows and this door, and we're going to do something cute in each one. It's going to look really great. I'm so excited about this idea. I'm going to cover the whole thing with cobwebs when I'm done. I have had this idea for weeks, so thanks for giving me an excuse to finally get it finished. We're going to start by working on the door, and I want to put a little sign over it that says like keep out or go away. And I'm going to use this really flexible balsa wood, and you can get that at any craft store. I haven't worked with this in a really long time, but it's super easy to work with. It's great for making little miniatures or little projects. And I just want to add some more dimension to this house by adding lots of layers to it. This will cut easily with scissors. And again, because I am an impatient crafter, I just eyeball things and don't measure them. So I would encourage you to do the same. That is going to look super cute. I'm really excited about it. Now I want to make a ghost peeking out of one of these windows. I'm not sure which one. The big one, the medium one. I think the little one. I think a tiny little ghost peeking out of the tiny window would be super cute. These, by the way, are my favorite scissors, these Cuddleby scissors. They are the best for cutting small projects like this or doing small little cutouts of stamps. Oh, they're my favorite. Okay, I think I'm going to make this ghost waving. This is spooky, not scary. So you could make yours really dark and spooky. You could even make it really, pump it up and make it more cartoony. Mine is going to be somewhere in the middle. He's going to look so great. He needs a little face, I think. So I'm going to give him some, like an upside down U shape for eyes, like those little squinty eyes, like he's smiling at us. So there'll be a friendly ghost in the window waving. He's going to look so cute. Okay, I cleaned some things up. Next, I want to do some bats, and I'm just going to punch out a bunch, and I want them either to go like over the house or coming out of a window or kind of going around the house, and I want there to be lots of bats. Now, if you don't have this punch, that's okay. You can freehand cut this. You could use your Cricut to cut it. You could even use a Halloween ring and cut the back part off and glue those on your house. And I'm going to glue everything on with a hot glue gun, but you can use glue dots as well. Those would work just fine on the wood. And I have the hot glue gun handy, and I love the hot glue gun. Now my bats, black bats on a black house, they kind of blend in a little bit. So I'm going to mix some paint just to get a little gray color so I can kind of grunge them up, add a little texture to them, make them stand out just a little bit more. Now, I'm not a painter. I don't know a whole lot about mixing paint, but I do know that black and white together make gray, and so that's what I did. And I'm just going to brush the edges of this bat so that it stands out a little bit. On this house, it's going to be super cute to have a whole bunch of them there. And if while you're painting, you're trying to keep your work surface and yourself clean, you can use a pair of fine nose tweezers to hold your project while you're working. I find those to be kind of indispensable while I'm working at my craft table, and certainly for this project, because there was so much small work that needed to be done, it was really useful to have a pair of tweezers handy. So we're just going to brush the edges of the bats here. And like I said, if you don't have this punch, you can freehand cut these. You can use your Cricut. You can get your kids to draw these for you. This is a great project to do with kids because you can let them, even the littles, could paint the back of the house for you, and you could go in and do all of the detail. So this could be a collaborative project as well. I'm just using regular acrylic paint. So any leftover paint you've got laying around, mix it up and use it for this project. This is a great scrap buster project because you're only going to be using a little bit of things. Other than the wood house, everything else is just kind of leftovers from my stash. And I have a little bin of Halloween things. There's like 50 spider rings in there. And I just dig around when I get an idea and I grab the things out of that bin that I need. So just start a little box for yourself. Keep some of these things in there, and then you'll be able to grab them for projects like this when the mood strikes. I like this color on the bats, and I'm going to use it on my keep out sign. And I'm also going to use it to just texture up this house. Like, it's just looking a little too flat to me. I don't want everything to be just black on black on black on black. You know, even in my wardrobe, I add a colorful scarf to that kind of outfit. So we're going to texture up this house a little bit. We're just going to grunge it up. Look how much better it looks already, just with that little bit of gray on the house. And then I'm going to paint the keep out signs as well. And here's the thing about that. There's no wrong way to do this. So if you're painting and you don't really like exactly how it looks, that's okay. Just add a little more black or add a little more white and blend it in as you need to get the perfect look that you want. And when I'm all done and that dries, I will use the paint pens. The paint pens are a Sharpie brand, and they are oil-based, which I love because they are great for glass. They're great for rocks. They're great for wood. They're great for paper. They're pretty much great for everything. And they're expensive. So I buy like one at a time until I have a whole set. Okay, so we've got bats coming out of a window. We've got our keep out sign. We've got our cute little ghosty. What are we going to do with the rest of this house? Now, I spend a lot of time thinking about this skeleton only to ultimately decide I do not want him in the project. He does not work out. It just doesn't look balanced. I tried painting him. It is not a good situation. And he kind of lives in my brain like I'm trying to figure out exactly how to incorporate him for the rest of this project till I get to the end and finally say, actually, there's just not really a good place for him. So that's one of those moments where I've got this great idea, but in execution, it's just not going to work out. So don't be afraid to completely get rid of an idea in your project if it's not working. I'm going to fast forward through the rest of this because I messed with this skeleton for a long time, and we will jump ahead to the next part of this project. At this point, I've decided we just need to move on and start gluing things on this house to have an idea of how it's going to look when it's all completely finished. So we're going to finish up our keep out sign. I'm not getting fancy. There's no fancy lettering here. This needs to look like a mummy wrote it on the door. So we're going to write keep out using that Sharpie oil paint pen. There are usually two types of paint pens, and I prefer the oil paint ones for projects like this. So we've got our sign. We've got the hot glue gun heating up. Who would like to guess how many times I burned myself with the hot glue gun? It is a rite of passage in the crafty world. It is definitely something that happens to all of us. Now here I am again with this skeleton. Maybe we'll paint him blue. No, reject the skeleton. I would like to tell my past self to just get rid of the skeleton because we don't need him. But we have not yet used googly eyes. Those are some of my favorite things to incorporate into a project. Look, that big one fits right in that window. He would be really cute maybe hanging out of a window with some fur around him. But like that window's a little too small. So maybe we'll put him in a bigger window where we've got room for more fur. So he could really stick like right there. That would be so cute. But that one eye is still really big. So I'm thinking lots of little eyes instead. That's going to be fabulous. And here's another example of a project that's a part of this project that's taking shape as we're making it. I'm going to get some fur from my stash because, of course, you know, it's in with the gnome supplies. So I went to the gnome making drawer and found some gray fur, and we're just going to cut a little corner off the end of this. Now, the only thing is, whenever you cut fur, there's always extra little bits of it everywhere. So there will be monster fur all over this project. That's just the way it goes sometimes. I'm going to cut a tiny corner off of this. Look, I can still make plenty of gnomes out of that fur. And I'm going to peel off all that extra that is not attached to anything. So now I've got this little square. I think this is a little too shaggy for this window. It's just going to be everywhere. So we'll trim it up a little bit and just hot glue it from behind and add a bunch of little eyeballs to this monster window. There's just going to be fur everywhere. If you have a pet, you're used to this. I don't have a furry pet. That looks so much better, shorter. It's going to be nice and cute, and we will just glue it right on the back. Let's take a peek. It's going to look so good. It's going to stick out that window and be so cute. And then we'll add some googly eyes in there. Yep. This is a great project because we've used balsa wood, we've used punches, we've used paint, we've hand cut stuff, we've punched things, we're using fur, we're using googly eyes. Just about the only thing I don't use is glitter. I even will get some wire out at the end of this project. So this is a great one to use up your stash, bring in a bunch of different techniques, use a lot of things. And I think we just need to start gluing stuff on. So we're going to glue on. I'm going to start with a little ghosty. And this is where I make a mistake. If I were going to add little details to this house, I should have put the glue on my little detail and then stuck it on, because you can't really make adjustments with hot glue. Once it's on, it's on. And I'm eventually going to pull this ghost off this window and peel up all the hot glue and start over, because I just don't like how he's positioned in the window, and that's just a mistake I made. And later I will do the right thing and put the glue on my item and not on the house to get started. So we're going to stick him in that little window, and then we're going to jump ahead and get that keep out sign glued on the front door. Now there's some hot glue strings. You know how that is when you're working with hot glue. There's like drips everywhere and there's strings everywhere, and you can just peel those off and clean up your project. To me, that is craftsmanship, and that is what sets apart an okay project from a really great project, is when you've paid attention to those tiny details, like cleaning up around your project and cleaning up the hot glue from your project so that you can present a really nice, clean, I don't want to say professional because this is just crafting. There shouldn't be that much pressure, but just to present a really nice picture of your project at the end, right? So I'm constantly cleaning up all that hot glue as we go. Okay, we're gonna stick some fur in this window. This is a tough choice because I really like the ghost, but I also really like the googly-eyed monster. I don't know which one would be my favorite. You'll have to tell me which one is your favorite. I love this hot glue gun, by the way. It has a really fine point at the end. Some hot glue guns don't have this fine a point. I picked this up at Joann's. It has a high temp and a low temp depending on the materials you're using. I love it. This is one of the best hot glue guns I've ever used, so I highly recommend it. It's by AdTech. It takes super long hot glue sticks too, which is really helpful if you're doing a project. So when I glue these googly eyes on, I am going to put the glue on the eye and then put it on the fur, because that would be a disaster trying to put the glue on the fur first. And it's those little things when you think through them that really make your project that much better. Ah, he looks so cute already. He only has one eyeball and he looks adorable. I love this so much. He looks kind of like the cat bus or something. He looks like some cat has been stuffed in that window. I'm going to add these bats coming out of this window, and look how much better they are. You can really see them after I painted those little gray details over the wings. And you could get really involved in there. You could use any kind of paint you have for that. You could use chalk. You could use, my mind just blanked. There's probably something else you could use. Distressing an ink pad. You could use a distressing ink pad as well. Look at the ghost! You guys, the ghost, he's so cute! I love the ghost, y'all. He's my fave. Okay, now we've got to talk about what we're going to do. I think I need to add the spider webbing next before I attempt for the last time to put that skeleton on the house. Now, I just pulled a little bit of this off of decoration we have around the house. Again, this is a great scrap project, but you could use stuffing, you could use fiberfill, you could use cotton balls. Like there's all kind. You could use paper towel and Mod Podge it on to add some texture in that corner. Like there's lots of great things you could use to get a cool spooky look. You could use some mummy wrapping. If you don't have a spider web, I'm going to wrap it around and tuck it through this window so it looks like this spider is just taken over this whole corner of the house. That's going to look really good. I think that really adds a lot of dimension and texture to the house. And I feel like anytime you can add extra texture and dimension to your flat, this is essentially a 2D project here, this house. Anytime you can add more texture and dimension, you're really pumping up the glam factor. You're pumping up the wow factor of your craft project. I'm going to use the spider ring. He's an enormous spider, but I'm going to use him anyway. And we're going to glue him in that window after we trim off the back of the ring parts. And he's also going to need a little bit of texturing. So when we put him in the window, we are also going to paint him with a little bit of that gray paint just to make him stand out. Because same problem as the bats. I got a black spider on a black house and it's just not, I want it to pop off. And in hindsight, I really could have used red paint or gold paint or green paint or purple. Like, don't feel like I made my house very monochromatic. It is black and gray and white. And don't feel like you have to stick to this color scheme. There are so many great Halloween colors that you could be using for your project that would just be awesome. I'm going to mess around with this skeleton again. Just enough with the skeleton. He does not fit in this house. It is not going to look good. My past self, really struggling with this. Doesn't fit through the window, doesn't look good around the house. Have you had a project like this? You had something where you want it to work and it just doesn't? I cut out the next 20 minutes of me dealing with this skeleton. I did decide that I wanted something behind the windows. So we will talk about that when we get to that point. We're going to hot glue this spider on, and then we're going to add some details to him. And that is going to be really cool. And when I think about it in scale, we're talking about a spider big enough to crawl out of a window, and that's pretty terrifying. Like a lot, like he fills the whole window. All spiders can crawl out a window, I know. He's big enough to fill the whole window. I think that's going to look really cool. And we're going to paint him. Let me jump ahead so we can talk about what we're going to do with this window and the rest of the detail for this house. Well, I think it's looking so great already, just like this, but I do think I want those window details to stand out. So I tried the gold tissue paper. I feel like that's too fancy for what we're doing. This is a spooky and fun haunted house. I love the bright orange. I think it's the perfect color for this. You could maybe do like a light purple too, if that's like your Halloween color scheme. That would also be great. So lots of options. And I'm going to attach this to the back of the house using Mod Podge. While I was gone getting tissue paper, I also came up with another great idea. I am going to use some wire over the top of the house, just like this, so I can add another dimension kind of up in the sky. You could put it there. You could wrap it around the house if you wanted to make like bats flying around or something like that. I'm going to put it over the top of the house, and we'll put a little, maybe some bats, maybe a full moon, something cool, again, to expand the texture and the dimension of this flat 2D project and make it something a little extra special. Now, when we use the tissue paper, we are going to Mod Podge that on. If you don't have Mod Podge, you can water down any liquid glue that you have. Even a fabric glue would work fine on this very thin tissue paper, but an Elmer's glue or a school glue that you have, you can just thin that out as well. And the order of operations for Mod Podge: paint the project you're putting it on first, then put the paper on, and then do Mod Podge over that. So you're kind of sealing it all in, and that's it. That's all you need to know. Now you can decoupage. And decoupage only works with really thin materials, like the very cheapest paper towel you can buy, and tissue paper and newsprint and the pages of a book. It's not going to work on cardstock. It won't work very well with photographs. All of those things are way too sturdy to take Mod Podge and be successful. So this is the perfect application here for this project. The next few minutes is a whole lot of me gluing things. So I think we should jump ahead and figure out what we're going to put over the top of our house and make it look extra fabulous. All right, we are almost done. We've got to attach this wire to the back of our house. I'm going to use the hot glue gun for this. You could use E6000 glue as well, but I think the hot glue gun will do just fine. And I can tell you that 24 hours later, it's still holding up perfectly. And I'm going to put a little bit on there and kind of just create like a pile of hot glue to smush that wire in. This is 20 gauge jewelry wire. If you're into beading or jewelry making, you probably have some of this in your stash. And if you're not, then you can probably find some wire. You can take apart a bracelet. You can use a pipe cleaner. There are a lot of elements you could use to make this little, what are we going to call this? This little wire arch on top of your house. I'm going to hold it in place just for a couple seconds to get that fully secure before I start adding all my other pieces to it. Here's another place where a good pair of tweezers comes in handy. And it doesn't take very long. I tried to show you as much of this project in real time as possible so that you know how long it will take you, so that you can estimate if you can fit it in while the kids are watching their cartoon show, or while they're taking a nap, or if you have time before you've got to run out the door and run some errands to make something fabulous. I recommend painting your house while the kids eat breakfast and then finishing it up later while they're at school or occupied or playing outside, or you've stolen some time to yourself. I'm going to punch some bats for this sky. I don't know what to call this. The night sky part of this project. And we need something for the moon. So I'm going to dig around in my paper stash and see what I can find. Something really good for the moon. Some oranges. This is a sparkly, glittery orange. I love this. And I'm going to grab a 1 1/4 inch circle punch from the punch drawer. So this is great. We're using so many tools for this project. You can also cut this out by hand or use a lid to trace around. So there's the orange moon. I don't really like it. I don't know what you think personally. I think there's just too much orange. Even though it's sparkly, I think it's just kind of too much. It's the wrong shade. I'm going to go back to the drawer. I'm going to see what else I can find. Something yellow, I think, is most important. I think we need some shade of yellow. And I know I've got yellow in there. I probably don't have anything glittery. Okay, we've got a bright yellow and this sort of textured yellow orangey color. The bright yellow is fine, but I don't think we should use it. I think it is too cartoony, and this is a little more spooky, a little more classy, but this textured yellow orange will be perfect. Look at that. When I was a kid, I had a book on tape. It was a Mickey Mouse haunted house book on tape, and it had a big yellow moon. I feel like it was that color right on the cover. So we'll hot glue that on. And again, we're going to have to add a little texture to those bats we're going to add, because we've done it to everything else. So it would look really out of place if we didn't add some texture to those bats as well. And I'm going to press that wire. I'm going to put the glue on the moon and press the wire into the moon and just hold that there for a minute and let that set. And then I'll maybe add a little bit more at the very end to the back of that. It's looking so good. We're almost done. We're almost done. You've hung with me for almost 30 minutes. Thank you. And we're gonna fold up the wings on this bat, and we're gonna add a little bit of detail to the wings again, just so it kind of fits with the overall vibe of everything else. And we'll hot glue those on, and then this house will pretty much be done. And we'll take it upstairs, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like with the Halloween decor. It's gonna be really great. But first we've got to help this bat out a little bit. Do you have a lot? Do you ever incorporate paint with your paper? Or are you, do you keep all of your craft supplies segmented? You know, only paper stuff with paper, only painting stuff with paint. I love to get as many tools and techniques into one project as possible, because that's just fun. And it really adds to the look. Originally, I thought I was going to do 3 bats, kind of like flying in a circle up here, but I think 2 is actually perfect. 1 on either side of the moon is going to be great. That's going to be it. We'll be pretty much done. I hope this has inspired you to make something yourself, whether for spooky season, which if you're watching this the day I put it up is actually Halloween, whether today or tomorrow, or next year, or sometime in the summer if you're catching up on your projects, or you run out of things to do in the cold wintry months. There you go. Look at that. It's so cute. I'm going to add a little extra glue on the back of that moon. And then I think we'll take it upstairs and take a peek and see how it looks with all of the... I'm going to clean up some hot glue. Got to clean it up. Got to make it look good. Look at that. Let's go put it upstairs and see how it looks with all of our other decorations. There it is on top of my spooky spell books. It turned out so cute, and you will notice that I have made a slight change. after I turned off the camera and after I unplugged the hot glue gun, hi Ghosty! I decided we needed something at the bottom of the house. I did end up using that skeleton. I used all those extra little bits and painted them and glued them on the bottom. Here's what it looks like. It's spectacular. I love it. I think it's super cute. It was really fun to make. I hope you love it too. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know if this has inspired you to make something. I hope it has. Make something today. It is good for the soul. It is good for your mind. It's just good for yourself. And enjoy this spooky season. Thank you so much for being here. Here's one last look. Have an amazing day, everybody.